Hey all, Double One Eight Set Shadow here. We're finally in the release weekend for the fifth starter deck of the game, Iron Bloom, which features Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. So, there has been a lot of buzz around this deck between the popularity of the Iron-Blooded Orphans series, the units that are in here, the new style of play with purple, and the biggest and probably detrimental part of news for the player base, the chaos that's going on around about the release events for this. So, lots of stores seem to have been getting different responses from their distributors or Bandai as opposed to the in considering about the allocation of what they're supposed to be getting for their individual stores. There are some stores who cut down on the amount that they were going to issue for the event because their distributors were saying that they are not going to get nearly as much as they expected. Other stores apparently got higher allocations, and therefore, whether or not the store allocated more room for the tournaments or ended up selling the items on the side, that depends on which store you want to talk about. There are some that may have had other situations which I'm not going to get into in this discussion, as we're just going to be talking about the product itself from here on. So, the deck set on TCG Player is available for a base of $54. Amidst all the chaos and the likelihood that we're not going to see too many copies of this deck in comparison to others, because I think the general notion is that Bandai overall still underestimated the demand for this deck and overall still had a major cut in the amount of how many we are getting. So, when it comes to this, it's far higher than any of the original deck. Well, I guess it's not far higher. A lot of the first four decks are still in line with this kind of pricing, but at the very least, when the first four decks came out, they were pretty easy to grab in the $20 range for at least a little while off TCG Player. I don't want to say the same for this one, given that, at least for a few of my local stores, they've been jacking up the base price that they've been selling them for, and very few of them are selling them for MSRP or lower. Which, by the way, MSRP for this deck specifically has gone up in comparison to the others, likely due to tariff problems and other factors on macroeconomics. So, this deck is more expensive than the prior ones, at least on the offset. As for the singles that are inside here, so the most popular card in here is more than likely the Barbatos 4th form, which is one of the two LRs that comes in this deck set. It's $18 right now with a market price right around the same level. The LR Plus is 96 at the lowest with a market price of 94 right now. I have seen two people pull this one, and I've seen at least two people pull the other LR Plus, McGillis' Schwalbe, and that is currently around $45, so less than half of the value of the fourth form Barbatos, but the market price is around 45 as well. Mikazuki's Pilot Common Plus is 37 at the lowest with a market price of 41. The Graz Commander types Command or Common Plus, which is both a linkable unit and basically a one cost higher Zwart, is $34 right now. This deck also happens to have the benefit of providing two level 1 costs in the Graze custom for purple and the regular Graze for white. So this gives white, I believe this gives white the first one to have two different 2 level 1 costs that it can make use of, improving its opportunity to be more ping or aggro. And this will also introduce the first one for purple in the custom. We also have some exclusives like Fatal Strike, and with Iron and Blood's Common Plus is currently around $20. The Fatal Strike Common Plus is $30 right now. If you want the regular Graze Commander, it's around $1.30 with a market price of $1.60. The Hyakuren, which is effectively like the Rezal but for purple, $1 to pick that up, or around $32 to pick up the plus. Another exclusive is the Mobile Worker, which the common plus for this one is $10. The Izaribi is the base in this one, as the only base in this deck, $22 for its common plus. Other pilots include McGillis Farid for Gallahorn at around $1.50. Akihiro Atman for Tekkadan is also around $1.50 for its regular. The Graz regular common is around $1.20. Mikazuki's common is around $1.60 to $2. The Graze custom common, which is the low cost for purple, is around $1. And there are a few cards that still haven't sold yet as far as the pluses are concerned, like the Guisan Rebake for Akihiro is 27 but hasn't moved. Akihiro's common plus is 37. McGillis Farid, which is effectively a weaker version of Amuro for white, is $20. And then the only common that is not sold out of here at all is the Mobile Worker, which honestly, I don't think this card is going to see a lot of play. Could be mistaken overall, but it's effectively a Zode for red that, or when you think about it, it's basically a support 1 that pings the unit to give it support 1, which is, I don't see a lot of value in that overall when you're basically weakening your own units. But depending on the deck set, because a lot of units in purple require damage for their effects, this could be something. It really just depends on the deck build. And let's not forget the reprint of Unforeseen Incident in this deck as well. So just keep in mind that this is the same card as what you get in the first deck set, as well as one of the initial promos. And this is around $1.60 right now. With Iron and Blood made me rethink back to this card, Indignation, which comes out of the Xeon starter deck. It's effectively the same thing, but it gives AP +2 without actually pinging your own unit. So I was wondering where this is sitting at right now, and it's cheap for the regular common, and only $2.50 to pick up the common plus. So if you're thinking Iron and Blood might be better in the sense that it gives you AP +3, I mean, that's a possibility, but then Indignation has the same status of being a main and action, so just like with Iron and Blood, it can catch your opponent off guard. If the 2 power is enough for you, this could actually be a better option. Atherin Zala, which has the starter deck from Seed variant, and then the store tournament pack version. Just wanted to see where these are sitting. The lowest version, which is the one from the Seed deck, is around 25 cents, so easy to pick up. If you want the promo version from the store tournament, that one is $2.50 at the lowest with a market price of around $4. As for the high rarity versions, the common plus available from the Seed deck is $8 at the lowest with a market price of around $7. But the winner pack version of the promo is now around $37. So if you don't want to pay too high but still want a blinged out version of Atherin, the Seed starter deck version is significantly cheaper right now. And honestly, that artwork is kind of unique, so it's still not bad. On the topic of Atherin, I also wanted to revisit the Justice's LR Plus, which I've been talking about this one a bit more often because this one has been seeing more movement than most other LR Pluses in terms of it's just going it's undulating so much. Right now, its base is $41 with 21 listings, and the market price is actually rising on this undulation a whole lot more than it did the first time. So, when it comes to what it's been selling for, we have been seeing a good amount of sales of this card moving in the $40 range for the last week. And there have been a few $50 sales of this card too. There are more copies on the market now, but at the same time, they're all baseline about $41 too. The regular Justice is not too expensive. It's still in the $3 to $5 range, but if you were hoping to bling it out, unfortunately, it's gone up and it looks like it might actually stay up for a little while. The Gundam Lifrith promo version that you got from the Bandai Fest down in Texas is very high up there right now. I dare say this is probably going to be the most popular of the promos that you can pick up from that pack. Right now, it's about $126 at its lowest with 9 listings on the market. And what it's been selling for, we've been seeing this move for 100 to 130 more recently, and overall, yeah. So the high price on this is around 130. The availability of the card goes all the way up to 200, but the vast majority of listings stop at around 130. So it's still up there, and Lifrith is still an overall strong option for white blockers. Then there is Kagaliula Atha, where this alternate art features her in a dress, and that has been enough for the fan base to really put a lot of money into this one, higher than that of the value of the Lifrith. Kagali, I think, is the most expensive of the cards that you can pull in that promo pack from Bandai Fest. The lowest listing is 138, and it's a lightly played one, apparently, with 12 listings on the market right now. And for what it's been selling for, not as many as the Lifrith, but the first sale we saw was 200. It's been moving down since then, but we've still been seeing it move for 150. 140 is the lowest sale so far, but since Bandai Fest, we've been seeing a good amount of them move within the last week. Availability, we have more copies on the higher end right now at 148. The first page has a decent amount of copies, around 140 right now. And then it just moves a bit more up into the higher 140s after that. But we do have a few copies that are starting to move underneath that. I feel like this is more or less going to be more of a pickup for just art aspects. But Kigali does have some potential usage with more Triple Ship Alliance material coming later. The problem is, Kigali's not Triple Ship Alliance herself, so that's also a detriment. She is Orb faction, and the only card she can link with as a result is the Strike Rouge. Fortress Defense, or Dozel Zabi, which is another promo that you can pick up from that promo pack, is one of the lowest value ones that you can get and is currently pretty low value in comparison. The lowest listing is now $30 for this card, and the high that we've seen this card move for is 50. 50 is the high. It has sold for 35 more recently, and the latest sell is around 33. Its availability is around $30 for its low, and the first page tops off at $40 with not too many copies. Dozel's honestly not too bad of a card. It doesn't have a burst, even though it's a pilot, but it is a part command that gives you 2 units. So, for green, it's effectively like playing the Corsica base, the second time around just not being a base. There are also some Judge Pack promos, like one for Marita Cruz, featuring its regular rare artwork that comes from New Type Rising. No listings on the market for this one right now, and I don't think there are any sales either, so really just a call out that there are some of these Judge promos that might show up. There's also the new EX resource for Witch from Mercury featuring Sleda and Myorine right now, and it's high up there in value. 305 is the lowest on TCG Player right now with 9 listings on the market. No sales yet. And then its availability, every single one that's selling right now has only 1 copy to sell, and it goes all the way up to 500. Keep in mind that this was sold as part of a pair with a mat too. I'm pretty sure it was sold as a pair for it. So I've only seen 2 people try to sell this mat locally in my area, and the price difference was stark. That's all I'm going to say about that. And so with that in mind, yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see if we end up getting more of these. Otherwise, it's really just, yeah, I don't know what else I can say about that one. There was an EX-based token that was also distributed as part of the fest, which also features the original RX-78 Gundam, at $23 right now, with 51 listings, by the way, so there were a lot of these. It's been selling There have been a lot of sales on this one. 24 moving down to the low 20 point, and we have a lot of copies at 23. Yeah, a lot of copies at 23 on the first page, and one listing that just has a ton of them allocated. The Freedom Gundam has dropped off very hard since its original release run, where this card was one of the most popular to pick up alongside cards like the Deathscythe. But now it is one of the weakest contenders in terms of value when it comes to the LR, making it very, very affordable if you still want to pick this up. I mean, for me, considering I like Gundam Seed a lot, I effectively got forced to pick this up at least around the $30 range, just because I wanted this, but in the end it dropped off really hard, so I'm glad I only picked up a playset. In any case, the card is around $5.50 at the lowest, with a market price of around $6, and the LR Plus is currently around $28 at the lowest, with a market price of $32. I still don't think the Freedom has a lot of playability meta-wise. It might be a decent tech, but I was questioning why this card was even good in the first place. I know white-blue blockers was a good contender on paper for a lot of players, and that's why this card went up so high. But I guess the skepticism panned out for some players like me to some degree, because while I was skeptic of it, I had to buy it just because it's Seed. So at the very least, I didn't buy too many of these, just a playset. Gundam Aerial Rebuild, which has so many different versions now. There's a $1 copy on the market from what it looks like here, but that is with a higher shipping and handling cost associated with it. The market price of this card is still around $5, and this card still has some decent playability, given that as we continue to get decks that revolve more around commands that are of a cheaper cost, this card could definitely see some rebounds here and there. However, the thing that'll probably keep it from rebounding too much is the fact that there are various versions of it too. There's the LR Plus from New Type Rising, which is around $63 at its low. The LR Double Plus, which is over $800 right now, but a market price of about $600. And of course, there is the New Type Challenge promo variant, which was only given out to the winner of the events. Some tournaments were able to give it out to the top 2, depending. But this one is around $600 right now, with a market price slightly above that, and above that of the LR Double Plus. There's also going to be the new version of the Aerial Rebuild coming in Dual Impact, which is only a rare, but with high maneuver and being a blocker, it's got a lot of versatility, and it has one more point of HP than the regular Aerial Rebuild. The Gundam Deathscythe's LR Plus has been dropping somewhat as of late, where this card I think was on its way to 100 or possibly even I don't think it topped. Okay, it did top it at least at some point, but its overall market price didn't cross $95 and it's slowly been making its way back downward. This card has recently been selling more so for around $55 and a bit lower than that a few times. Its availability overall, we do have a $47 listing, but it's with a $5 shipping tag, so that puts it to about $52. But some listings are now around $50, and so the Deathscythe has just been falling out overall. Everything really pins on Operation Meteor getting some decent support for this to really go back up. And there's also the premise that when the Deathscythe Hell comes out, will it end up replacing the Deathscythe in any capacity? Because if it does, that could end up becoming a trend down the line for certain units just getting completely outplayed. But I mean, what we've seen between the Wing Gundam and the Wing Zero does give us the potential that the Deathscythe is not going to be outright replaced by the Deathscythe Hell, but we'll see. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later.